let's play this video, and I'm gonna have a lot to say, so let's get to it.
Extraordinary contributions of Jewish Americans to the nation. Look, the story of the Jewish people is a story of resilience, absolute resilience, from pain and persecution to hope and delight, even in the darkest times. The story that endures. Throughout our history, Jewish people helped define and expand the singular idea that binds us together as Americans. It's not hyperbole. Freedom, freedom, the bedrock principle on which this nation was built and that American Jews fought for since the 1600s after fleeing persecution abroad.
Bro, who was the majority of the slave owners? As we continue this disgusting revisionist history, and you're going to hear Biden is now in the story that liberals are now going to tell you. It wasn't the decades of organizing by Black activists who put their bodies on the line and were victims of the police state. No, Biden and liberals now going to weave this story that the civil rights movement, we got to be thankful because of the Jews. Even though there was a ton of right-wing evangelical Christian Zionists who was opposed to civil rights, now the story they're about to tell us is that it's not the Black Panthers, it's not Martin Luther King, not the organized, not the bus sit-ins, not the countless people who got their ass beat by the police. He's about to tell you the story about how Jewish people fought for all of our freedoms. Because the disgusting messaging that he's about to send to you guys is that he's committing a genocide, but he's doing it for the Jews. As they complain about the rise of anti-Semitism, what causes the rise of anti-Semitism was Biden is doing, saying that the reason why he's fighting international law, the reason why he's criticizing the ICC, the reason why he supports genocide is because of the Jews. That is what leads to anti-Semitism. You gross. I'll play this part again. Listen to this revisionist crap. I almost threw up listening to this in preparation for the show.
Throughout our history, Jewish people helped define and expand the singular idea that binds us together as Americans. It's not hyperbole. Freedom, freedom, the bedrock principle on which this nation was built and that American Jews fought for since the 1600s after fleeing persecution abroad. One of our nation's first commitments to freedom of religion was of the Jewish community in Newport, Rhode Island. It goes back a long way. 1790, America was just 14 years old. A local Jewish leader wrote a letter to President George Washington, expressing his hope that America would be a nation of religious freedom, not just for Jews, but for all citizens.
Now you guys are saying that we must support the political demands of the most radical faction. We must support Zionism, or we will be victims of police violence. So the story that he's telling is the story of how Jewish people invented the concept of freedom of religion. And whether this is true or not is irrelevant, because you guys are not even following that original mandate. Because if you guys really believe in freedom of religion, we should be allowed to criticize Israel, correct?
A nation which, quotes, gives bigotry no sanction and persecution no assistance. It helped lay the groundwork for religious freedom in the First Amendment in our Constitution. And ever since, Jews have been in the forefront of helping realize the promise of America for all Americans. Jewish artists, poets, helped define the American vision of liberty for millions of people who come to our shores.
You guys see what he's doing? What does this have to do with the fact that Israel is committing a genocide? And you are criticizing the International Criminal Court in the process of international law to protect a genocidal state. You guys see how he is tying Jewish culture, which I have no criticism of, who I have no disdain towards, but he's tying Jewish culture to our support to the international rules, I want to say rules-based war, that's not the term you want to use. So he's tying our Jewish culture to whether we support the International Criminal Court holding Israel accountable. So he's directly tying the actions of the Israeli state to Jewish people, which is the height of anti-Semitism. If you agree with the global majority that Israel is committing genocide, you are now an enemy of Jewish culture?
And look, Jewish suffragettes and advocates have fought for women's rights, voting rights, every right we have. My whole career.
They fought for every right we have now, guys. We got to support Israel committing a genocide because according to liberals, Zionist Jews fought for every right that we have. Bro, we don't fight this shit, bro. History is going to be completely fucked in 200 years. You guys know history is written by the winners. This shit's going to be fact. The bus sit-ins, the Black Panthers, you know they want to get rid of the militant wing of the civil rights movement, the armed resistance wing of the civil rights movement. That shit's going to be gone. They're going to be teaching the history books, the Ron DeSantis, white America approved history books. They're going to be talking about how Black Americans actually had it good the entire time during Jim Crow. And you have Zionist Jews that came out of nowhere and granted us liberation. That's going to be the truth here very soon. Let's continue.
Poets helped define the American vision of liberty for millions of people who come to our shores. And look, Jewish suffragettes and advocates have fought for women's rights, voting rights, every right we have. My whole career, every fight to increase civil rights and civil liberties has been led by Jewish community, where I come from. The Jewish faith leaders and citizens marched, petitioned, boarded a bus, demanded civil rights for all. Jewish scientists and engineers and doctors have led breakthroughs in innovation, technology, and medicine. Across government, Jewish Americans have proudly served our nation in uniform and elected at point of office, in embassies, in civil service, and our nation's highest courts. That's why Jill and I hosted the first ever high holiday reception at the White House. That's important. First ever permanent White House menorah made from the original wood of the White House building. To make clear that the history and vibrancy of the Jewish life is woven into the very fabric of America, and it's permanent. It's permanent. But look, I know today's reception falls on hard times. The trauma of October 7th and its aftermath of the deadliest day the Jewish people have undergone since the Holocaust is still fresh and ongoing.
Doesn't give them the right to commit a genocide. There is no exception in international law for revenge. So this is the part of the speech and where he openly advocates for Jewish supremacy. And Lyle Massey, I'm gonna introduce you here very soon, my friend. Thank you for joining us here. But this is where Biden openly advocates for the idea of Jewish supremacy, where Israel does not have to follow international law because they're a God-chosen people. The concept of international law does not exist for Joe Biden in Israel.
And with many of you, we have parents of someone being held hostage right now, and we're going to get them home. We're going to get them home, come hell or high water. 1,200 innocent people slaughtered in their kibbutz, massacred at a music festival, brutally raped, mutilated, sexually assaulted.
Since we are guests, I'm gonna just send to the part I'm waiting for. You know, our friends and our brothers and sisters at Hotspot, they always provide. So I'm gonna skip to the part where he denies the genocide, and then I introduce our guest here.
Let me be clear. We reject the ICC's application for arrest warrants against Israeli leaders.
Yay, we deny genocide.
There is no equivalence between Israel and Hamas. And it's clear Israel wants to do all it can to ensure civilian protection. But let me be clear. Contrary to allegations against Israel made by the International Court of Justice, what's happening is not genocide. We reject that. We will always stand with Israel and the threats against its security. Compounding the pain and a vicious surge of anti-Semitism around the world, here in America as well. Let me be clear.
So you have Democrats happily cheering for genocide denial now. And I'm interested in hearing from our guest here, who is an amazing investigative reporter who worked for the Gray Zone. We had you on RBN before. It's always great to be in a conversation with you. And you have done fantastic work, man. We cover all your videos exposing the White House. We have another one we will cover here very soon, where you expose the Biden White House for their lies about sending weapons to Israel. So welcome to RBN once again. Lion Cosgrove.
Yeah, good to see you again, Nick. I'm sorry, I'm here in New York actually, so I'm out in the park, so I hope you guys can hear me all right. But yeah, I caught the end of that clip of Biden, and it's kind of wild that you have people like Ben Shapiro saying Hamas is in charge of the White House and stuff like that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
how could you ask for a better ally than Biden right now? You know?
That show how ridiculous anyone is who actually try to appease Israel, because despite everything Biden has done, they still say that he's doing the bidding of Hamas. Despite the fact that the ICC put a lot of bogus charges against Hamas, ones that was debunked, like the rape whole story that the Gray Zone exposed. They gave them so many nuggets regarding going after Hamas, and they still complaining. And you hear in the speech they're complaining about the false equivalency of Hamas. And I want to get your general thoughts as I'm gonna pull your video up. We call out the Biden White House, and you can speak on that as well if you want to. But I want to get your general reaction to the ICC ruling, because guys, I do think it's a good thing. I'm just critical of some things that the ICC say. So, do you agree? Do you disagree? What's your thoughts in
Well, so
general?
how recent is that? You're going to have to put me up to speed. I actually haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, no worries. I can give the International Criminal Court of Justice. They are seeking an arrest warrant on Benjamin Netanyahu
Oh, that I
and
knew.
yeah, in the defense minister. They also have charges on the Hamas leaders for October 7th. Once again, guys, if there's any soldiers who committed war crimes, I'm for that. You know what I mean? I just disagree with assertion that it was a systemic plan for Hamas to engage in mass atrocities. But anyway, Lion, are you familiar with that case? If not, I also want you to speak on Biden's handling of Gaza and the weapon shipments. You can say however you want. I appreciate
Okay.
your.
Yeah, no, I'm not super familiar with the specific ICC case. I know they did want to summon him for crimes against humanity, which I think, based on that phrase alone, is totally justified, based on what's going on in Gaza. But yeah, I'm not super, privy to it. I think Biden's rhetoric there says a lot, though. Just we completely condemn, the ICC for doing that. I mean, it's just it's really absurd, after we endured a year and a half of moral lectures about the war in Ukraine and how we have to stand against Russia or else we're all Neville Chamberlain. You have a war that is much hotter, killing many more civilians at a much faster rate, and yet the Biden administration is doing everything it can to provide cover for the Israelis.